Are you thinking of buying land in Turkey? In this video, I'll talk to you about how you can buy land and what are some of the things that you need to know before you go out there and buy land in Turkey. Hi, I'm Moaz Haq, and today we'll be talking about how to buy land and what are some of the things that we need to be mindful of before buying land in Turkey. First of all, land is divided into two main areas in Turkey. There's zoned land and unzoned land. So the zoned land is where you can build buildings or houses, villas, and unzoned land is more like farmland or land which is just used as an investment without building anything on that land itself. So when it comes to zoned land, it's known in Turkish as Imarli land, Imarli. And on this land, there are different types of zoned land as well. So there's villa zoned land where you can build up to 2 or 3 floors. And then there's regular zoned land where you can build more floors, like a building, 4 or 5 floors, or even taller buildings. And of course, there is commercial zone land where you can have shops or things like that. And then there's other types as well, like factories and things like that. But the main thing which concerns us usually for zone land is for building a house or a villa, a cottage, or a small building even perhaps. The other type of land is unzoned land. This is known as Tarla. So this is where the terminology, I just wanted to clarify the terminology when it comes to, when you're looking for land, you'll see all these terms like Tarla, Arsa, and all these other terms. So let me just make this a little bit more simple for you, is that Tarla and Arsa, what does that mean, right? So Arsa is basically what I talked about, is zoned land where you can easily just build. You don't need to worry about any permissions or anything like that. You are buying land where you are allowed to build a building. Now it depends, of course, the constraints. It could be a 2-floor building, 3 floor, 4 floor. So that needs to be double checked with the ministry, with the municipality. When it comes to the other term, so there's Tarla and Arsa. So we talked about Arsa. Now Tarla is basically other type of land, which is unzoned land. Now within this category, there are many types of unzoned lands. You will hear terms such as Bağ, Bahçe, Zeytinlik. Yeah, basically these ones. And Tarım as well, Arazi. These are all different terms that you're going to hear when it comes to unzoned land. Now let's talk about the important issues that we need to keep in mind when you're buying land. Number 1 is zoning. We already talked about that. When you got to take a look at what zoning type you're buying, whether it's unzoned or zoned land, whether it's different types of unzoned land as well. So we need to keep that in mind. So when you're buying unzoned land, there is a risk that this land's value may not increase that much. But when you buy zoned land, then of course that the value will increase as the population increases in that region. And the value of the land will also increase with that. But with unzoned, there's a little bit of a risk, but at the same time, if you make the correct planning and choice of the location, the zoning area may increase as well. And if you even buy unzoned land in a really good location and the land itself is very fertile and you have access to water, you can grow a lot of things on it. It's not too far as well from a town. So it's not too remote either. So a lot of these things come into play when it comes to the zoning and unzoned land, when you're buying unzoned land. Number 2 is location. Location is, of course, the key point when it comes to buying land or buying property. So that needs to be kept in mind, where your location is, how far away you are from a town, from a city, from hospitals. Do you have access to water on your land, clean water? How is the climate on this land? Are you getting enough sunshine? Are you getting enough rain? What about the conditions of the soil? What about the hills itself, the terrain of the land itself? All these are questions. The neighbors nearby, how far away they are, what type of people are residing nearby. So these are all conditions about location. And that plays a key role in the price and actually getting the right land for your purposes. So number 3 I will talk about is what are some of the things you need to avoid when you're buying land. Avoid by any circumstances shared title deeds. These are called hisseli tapu. So you will see this in when you're searching for land, you will see this term come up. Hisseli means like you are sharing it. You're taking a part of the tapu, which is the title deed. So you don't own the entire land itself. So please avoid this at all costs. There's too many complications and too many stories, horror stories that have come out of this. So if you see a hisseli tapu, shared title deed, just turn around and just run the other way. Like, don't even look back. Just run and forget about the price or whatever offer they're giving you. Just run away from that offer. Also avoid protected areas that are environmentally or historically protected areas, water basins, these kind of places, reservoirs. These are usually protected areas which are not going to be zoned in the future. These are unzoned areas and will stay unzoned most likely. So avoid these type of areas. Also avoid buying land near large forests, because what happens is sometimes the forest, the government or the municipality decides to expand the forest area. So your land that you have bought next to a forest may be included in that forest itself. So the government just usually buys you out. But again, you end up, having to sell your land, and you might have built things on it, or you might have, had this land for a while, you've worked on it, you've just built it up, and now your whole life's work is gone. The next thing is avoid weird shaped land plots, like parcels of land, plots of land which are weird shaped, like circles, trapezoids, any kind of weird triangles or any kind of weird shapes. The best shape to buy is just a square or a rectangle. These are the best shapes, and try to avoid other shapes, too much like weird shapes. Number 4, road access. So if your land is just in the middle of other lands and you're just surrounded by other land and you can't even access your land, then what's the point of having a land which you cannot access? The neighbors, yeah, you might think that they're nice today and they're giving you permission, but that could change. Then the neighboring lands could be sold. The neighbors may change their mind. So you are essentially at the mercy of who's around you. So do not make that mistake. Always buy land that it has at least one side there's a road adjacent to that land, or even more sides. Like, at least if you have a corner plot, that's even better. But even just one side having access is enough. At least make sure that the road is touching 25 meters of the land at least, so that way if you want to build a small farmhouse or kind of a cottage on that, you can build that. You can legally build that as long as the land is minimum, as I mentioned, 5,000 square meters. Number 5 is earthquake fault lines. So you might want to just double check that and see where the fault lines are. Talk to the locals and look at the historical earthquake areas where they've happened, to avoid any, just to be mindful of that. Again, we don't know where they may happen, but wherever they're more likely to happen, you might want to avoid those areas. Number 6 is, how do you protect your land from squatters? So again, this is a very common sense thing. Just basically putting a fence around your land, or another thing is you could rent out your land to a farmer. Again, make sure you do follow the proper procedures when you rent it out, so you have a contract and you've actually consulted a lawyer or a company that deals with that. But this could be very good for you as a passive income. You will be earning money from that land, and your land is being used positively. At the same time, it's being protected from other people. That farmer or the family who is renting your land will be looking after it and protecting it from these unwanted circumstances. Number 7, how do you make sure you get the land that you see or that you pay for? So essentially, first of all, don't ever just pay for land without ever seeing it. That's a common mistake. You should definitely go to the land itself, walk every inch of the land, check it out properly. Also, there's a website, there's kind of an app or website that you can just search online. It's called a Parsel Uygulama. I'll drop the link in the description below, so you can click on that and you can check with the parcel number and the actual location of the land. You can see from the satellite exactly where the land is located. So this way you won't make any mistakes when you're buying the land. Number 8, make sure the land has no liens or mortgages or loans that have been taken out on it. So that is cleared fully before you make the purchase. So You can check that at the tapu, the title deed office. So make sure you go with the copy of the title deed and double check that there's no loans or any kind of like outstanding loans on that land. Okay, so number 9 is price. Price is key because they say that when you buy the land is when you make the profit, not when you sell it. So buying it at the right price, the right location, the right time is when you make the money off from the land itself. So make sure you do all the research and you get it at the correct price and the correct location and all that, the correct zoning requirements and things like that. So that way you have made money and you are accruing your property value, your valuation of the land is going up, and that way you will actually make a profit when you sell, if you decide to sell the land. Lastly, number 10 is when you buy the land, you have up to 2 years to actually declare to the government the use of the land, what you're doing with the land. You can't just leave the land and just buy it and leave it. So either you are building a villa on it. If it's a zoned land, you will need to submit a project, your project to the municipality. Or if you're deciding to use your land, unzoned land, for farming or things like that, then you would need to apply to the Ministry of Agriculture and whatnot to make sure that the government is aware that you're using this land for this purpose. If you did find this helpful, please don't forget to click like, just comment below, share your feedback. If you have questions, just comment below as well. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much, and I hope that you will get a good piece of land. Feel free to send me an email if you have any further questions or if in the comments, and I will get back to each and every one of those comments. All right, see you next time. Cheers.